keep talking for like another 2 minutes before he actually comes out. I like to tease you guys. So, for those who don't know, yes, our day starts very, very early. It's a 5.5-hour morning newscast, very long indeed, but we like to have a lot of fun. Paul, Bethany, Darren, myself, and Sheldon, all on the big red couch. So we do like to have a lot of fun, along with telling sometimes very depressing, serious news. So we have a clip of how much fun we actually do have. And since we are the morning newscast, I figured, you know what, we're kind of like the Breakfast Club, just a little bit. A band of misfits that come together. So if you want to take a look at some of the fun that we have off camera as well.
Fox 40 News in the morning, your breakfast club. Cosmos premieres March 9th on Fox 40.
Surely the one.
So there you go. We do like to have a lot of fun. And for those who don't know, Cosmos, we will also be doing a scholarship portion of that as well. So if you go onto our website, fox40.com, and just search the keyword Cosmos, if you are in school or about to go into college, it's something really cool to look into as well. And I believe I've heard Neil deGrasse Tyson is going to also be doing that show. So any fans of Neil deGrasse Tyson? Awesome. So are you guys having fun? Is this an awesome Comic-Con? It's the first year they've ever done this. And we want to make sure they come back, right? Excellent, excellent. So for those who don't know, I'm actually just tap dancing because we're trying to fill in the front rows here so we have a nice packed house. Because I know there's a lot of people just hanging out on the walls there. So has anyone met anyone really cool like Norman Reedus yet? Anyone? Anyone close to Norman Reedus at all?
Later.
Because that's what I would have done, just FYI. Alright, so, one more time, without further ado, the man that we can all get behind, because we can get behind that. I'm a nerd. That's really it. William Shatner, ladies and gentlemen!
Hello there. Lovely to see you in Sacramento, and I'm very grateful that you're here. So, and that was the weirdest introduction I've ever done. It's like morning news, and then, oh yeah, Shatner's here. So, a couple of years ago, a guy in Australia, where am I going with this story, you're all asking, said to me, would I do a one-man show there in Australia? And it's a one-man show by its very nature is one man. And so that's a big job to entertain people for a period of time and make it worth the price of the ticket. So, but I thought, hey, it's Australia. If I fail, nobody will know. So I said yes, and then they had a form that they liked. There was somebody else on stage with me, and the person, local celebrity, asked me questions, and I would try and answer them to be as informative and as amusing and charming and brilliant as usual. And so the first show went well, so then another city asked me, and finally I did 6 cities in Australia, and it went very well. And then Canada said, would I do that show? So they supplied local people. So I sat on the stage and talked and made my way across Canada. And finally, with some success, and in Toronto, Broadway said, would I come to New York and do it on Broadway? So then I thought, hey, this one-man show has 2 people in it. I'll make it one-man show. And I rewrote it, restaged it, and then opening night in New York on Broadway, one-man show. And the night before, my wife and my agent and I were having dinner, and it was at a nice restaurant, and they ordered fish. And I thought, no, I'm not going to order fish. I mean, you never know about fish. And you get sick, and I got an opening tomorrow on a one-man show in New York. No, I'll have a hamburger. Wouldn't you know it, I woke up the next morning and I was ill. Yeah, I felt that way too. Oh. They asked me, what's the best sound in the world? Oh, that's the best sound. And so there I was facing a Broadway opening by myself on stage and sick. So sick that leaving the bathroom for more than 3 minutes was very dangerous. In fact, this is maybe more information than you need. In the middle of the show, I said, there's been a technical difficulty, I'll be right back. So that was very successful, and I don't mean running up the stairs, I mean the show itself was successful. And then I toured. Now I've toured 40 cities in the last year or so with this one-man show called Shatner's World. And I filmed it. And all this is by way of saying, on April 24th, at a movie theater near you, one time only, my one-man show will be there. So I urge you to, on April 24th, be a part of that night. It's going to be very exciting. Yeah, it's not quite unique, but it's unusual, and so I'm thrilled. So I just got to get people into 700 theaters across the country. All right. So what I'll do now is I'll take questions and I'll try and answer them as illogically as I can, but with intelligence and insight, of course. So ask me a question and I'll ramble on and forget what the original question was, but between us we'll have some fun. You've got it, I take it you've got it set up for a question, right? Yes? Yes? No? No? Oh, I just merely assumed there was a mic. Oh, thank you.
I have a question.
My heart was in my mouth. I was about to say there's a technical difficulty. I'll be right back.
I thought you're doing the Comedy Central roast, that you were such a good sport to do that.
Wasn't I, though?
You were.
This
And
guy.
I thought your entrance on horseback was genius. So I was surprised to read in your book, Shatner Rules, that it was a little bit daunting for you. So I want to know how they approached you about that. How much notice ahead of time did you get that you were...
For the horse or
for the riding in on the horse.
Well, you know, those of you who know horses, and those of you who don't, I'm about to explain. Horses are herd animals, and they're prey animals. Everybody eats a horse in the wild. So they're all like, you know, something's going to happen. I know something's going to happen. And they'll dart away at the slightest impression of danger. And that's part of the problem of being on a spooky horse, is you don't know which way it's going to go. Frequently it goes this way and you go that way. And that leads to a severing of the relationship. So riding this horse, more people than are here this afternoon were in that theater where I rode the horse. And I rode the horse in, among tables. So the question was, how do you desensitize a horse among all those people? Now the police, have you ever thought about how do the police desensitize their horses where people are banging things and pushing and maybe shooting guns, and the police horses just move around? It takes years to desensitize them. And even then, police get into trouble sometimes. Even, what's the guy who crossed the Alps? Hannibal. Hannibal! Where's he going with this? Hannibal crossed the Alps during 2,000 years ago in a campaign to raid Rome, with elephants. Okay? So now he makes it finally with 1/3 the elephants he started with into Italy. And he starts moving down the boot of Italy with elephants. Now the Roman cavalry on horses, because that's what cavalry means, charge Hannibal, and the elephants raise their trunk and scream, and the horses turn tail. And Hannibal did a lot of his winning because the horses weren't desensitized to elephants. They, in fact, had to circle around. Imagine the intelligence. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? Well, why don't we just ride around? Oh, what a great idea! You're going to be a general. And they rode around and attacked from the back, and Hannibal had to do something else. Finally, he was defeated. The point is, the horses needed to be desensitized, and I'm looking at this white horse thinking, what have they done to protect me when I go around a table with the guys all drinking? And how do you desensitize a horse to a drunk? And I just got on the horse and rode on, and the horse was great, and that was it. See? Now, isn't that fun? You ask a question about a horse, you get a history lesson, everything. I mean, okay, next question.
I just wanted you to know that I gave you the shirt earlier, and I hope you get the joke when you have time to read it. Thank you.
Okay, so wait a minute. You gave me the shirt later, and you hope I get the joke. All right, so involved in that statement is a number of facts. Was the shirt off your back? If so, what are you wearing? If that's a valid question, come up here and show us. Secondly, what's the message? I hope you get it. Is it obtuse? Is that a question of my intelligence? Will I get your message? I mean, come on. How difficult could it be with a thing printed on the shirt? And the third thing is, I saw it and I got it. It's worth the price of admission, right? Because you didn't pay anything, right? Next question.
Hello, sir. How are you doing?
You tell me.
I was just wondering, what did you personally think about Benedict Cumberbatch's performance as Khan in Star Trek Into Darkness? Since obviously it was a very different performance from that from Ricardo Montalban.
Okay, so I'm totally confused. Wait a minute. Let me give you the basis of my confusion. Ricardo Montalban. Performance I know,
awesome.
Okay? I was there. But what was this other one? Where are you? Are you here or there?
I'm here.
You're there. You're here? Oh, there. There. Okay, gotcha. I'm blinded by the light. Right?
I'm the weird kid with
you're
the
right there.
long hair.
Oh, you're right there. How did you get from there to there so quick?
Scotty beat me over here.
You got beat there. Okay, so I get the con thing, the Ricardo, but
Right.
who's your con?
I just wanted to see I just was wondering what you thought about the performance of Khan in Star Trek Into Darkness. About that actor's
What's Star Trek in the Dark? It's terrific. It's a terrific performance. It's a terrific movie. Everybody's great, and I admire everybody.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Are you happy now? What's your name? Smartass?
No, that's my middle name. My name's Caleb.
Caleb Smartass. Okay. Caleb, huh? Okay. I want to see you later, Caleb. Okay. Are you happy with the answer? Or do you want more?
I'm exceptionally happy.
Exceptionally. Let's examine the word exceptional. Which you are, obviously. Okay, thank you. Next question.
Wow.
Hi, Mr. Shatner.
Hi.
That's gold.
I was wondering, you're such a larger-than-life person. What's been your
What does
most...
that mean? I'm breathing. I'm alive. What is that larger than life? If I drop dead, am I larger than life and I'm dead? I mean, come on. What does that mean, larger than life? What does it mean to you? Let's ask Caleb. What's larger than life mean to you? What do you mean when you say to somebody, you're larger than life?
Like, everybody knows who you are. You can walk down the street and people will know, oh, hey, that...
No, they say, oh, look at that, that's larger than life. And they have to move off the sidewalk. What, define larger than life. Let's pursue this to its deadly end here.
It's deadly.
Well, larger than life, you know, everyone knows who you are, you're so famous, you've done almost
So much.
everything.
Yeah. I've done everything.
You've not done anything wrong.
Except entertain you, and I'm trying to. What was that? If he has me on a mic, it can't be good. Go ahead, ask your question since we've beaten this thing into the ground.
My question is, what's been your most humbling experience? Whether it was
Talking to you, actually. I never felt more inadequate in my life. Running off the stage on Broadway to go to the bathroom. I mean, and imagine what I'm doing. I'm running, because it's circular stairs to the bathroom, and I'm running up the stairs to get there in time. Imagine how humbling that is when I got to come back down and face the audience. Come on. Anyway, that's the most humbling experience I've ever had. Having a baby can really be... All right. I can't even think of one. There are so many. You spend half your life being humbled. Riding a horse is a humbling experience. Shut the heck up. I love babies and puppies, but not here. On the other hand, that may be an alien coming to... riding a horse can be a very humbling experience. You have to be humble to be on a horse's back. If you get arrogant and thinking, oh, look at this, I'm doing well, you're on the ground the next moment. No, horseback, competing on a horse can be a very humbling experience, and I've had it happen more times than not. Next question.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Your previous sarcastic comments have me choosing my words.
That isn't sarcasm. That's kindliness. Where till I get sarcastic?
And now you frighten me greatly.
You're easily frightened.
I don't know. Face of greatness.
You may be right on that.
So my question was, when was the moment that you actually looked back at your career and thought that you really made it?
I wrote a song. It's on a has-been that when you know when you're successful, and you don't. In my opinion, if you think you're successful, you're not. Okay? Next question.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello, Mr. Shatner.
Hello there.
I've heard that you have interest in playing in one of the new Star Trek movies. Would you be willing to do a cameo or something like that?
I'd love to be in a big Nobody's asked me. It's true.
They should.
Nimoy asked me, but he doesn't have any power. I've taken J.J. Abrams out to lunch more than once. And he's out to lunch, I gotta tell you, with me. And we're sort of buddies. I admire him, and as you know, he's going to do the next Star Trek and the next Star Wars. So it's going to be interesting to see how he makes them different. And then we could all have fun drawing up characters that like combine, like, you know. And I wish I knew more about Star Wars. That I'd be able to be funny about it, but I can't think of anything about Star Wars. I barely remember Star Trek. But I think the difficulty is, I was Captain Kirk. The kid has moved from there to there. I played Captain Kirk about 50 years ago, so there's a slight alteration in my physical appearance. It's very, very humbling to have a sign with my name on it, like the driver's waiting for me at the airport for something, and there's my name, and he doesn't recognize me. There's that sound again. And I sort of think, well, you know, he's looking for this young captain, and here this guy comes out, is stumbling around and dribbling. The dribble down here, it gives you away. So I think they're flummoxed on how to introduce me. It didn't seem to bother them about Spock, actually. But I think I'm in a more difficult position. So I would love to be in one of those movies in another character, like in a total makeup, and you wouldn't know it's me. Although I wrote a book called Get a Life, which I hoped was explaining what you're all doing here, why you're here. Actually, I was very serious about it. So what I did was, with doing my due diligence, I went around in conventions with a disguise, like a rubber mask and everything on, and I tried to alter my voice and do things, you know. So I'd go up to somebody, try and ask them what they're doing here, and they'd say, "Shatner, what are you doing?" So it was hard to get a real reaction about why people are. But I did my due diligence on the book, and the book was called Get a Life, and I met people. I met a guy who was psychotically shy. He couldn't speak 2 words together. He was so shy. But he had a cat with him, and he dressed the cat up in a captain's uniform. And when he had the cat with him, he was totally verbal. He could speak non-stop. In fact, it was difficult to get him to shut up. Take the cat away, he couldn't speak. Interesting. I met a lady who had multiple personalities, and all of them Star Trek. So this voice would come out of her that was Spock and very wise. And then she got wild and she was Captain Kirk. But interesting character. So I finally came to the conclusion in the book that you're here to see each other. Then I decided to make a documentary. Years later, I made a documentary, which I also called Get a Life. And I tried to do the same thing, the same due diligence, examination of people as to why they were there. But this time it was on camera. And it was then that I discovered the truth of why we're all here. And that is, it's mythological. We're here celebrating a mythology. Mythology tries to answer questions that have no answer. Try to give an explanation to questions that have no answer. And from early times, the Greeks in their mythology, they would discover large bones that we now know were our dinosaur bones. But they had no explanation to these giant bones. Where did they belong? So they made up a whole mythology of giants behind that mountain at war with the demigods and all. They had a whole thing going, trying to explain the inexplicable. What we're doing here is visiting the same thing, the mythology of what's out there. and what does it all mean, and what's the future going to be like, and what's the world going to look like, and how will we act, and if we met an alien, what would it... So all this mythology goes on. And the ritual of mythology, like religion, the ritual of mythology, you come here, visit with the people you love, and you get autographs and pictures, and we're indulging in a ritual of mythology, and that's what we're doing here, celebrating the unknown. Okay. I'm exhausted. Next question.
My name's Beth, and I have a text question from my parents in Kentucky.
Wait. You got a text question from your science teacher from Kentucky.
Parents from Kentucky, and they
Parents.
loved you.
Your parents love you. Therefore, by extension, you love me. Yeah. You might say it's in the DNA. Or the RNA. And we know the difference, don't we?
They would like to know, what about Star Trek changed your thinking or life the most?
What about Star Trek? What do I like the most?
What about Star Trek changed your thinking or life the most? Your involvement in Star Trek, the franchise, or as an actor?
What about Star Trek that I like the most?
Changed your life.
I can't make it that word. I'm getting Teamster. That can't be. What's that word?
Changed.
What changed my life the most about Star Trek? If it weren't for Star Trek, I wouldn't be here today. I'd be somewhere else, and that's changed my life completely. Old Town Sacramento is a place you've got to come and see. That's pandering, and that won't happen again. What's changed my life the most? My goodness. I was popular when Star Trek was on the air, and then it went off the air, and due to a number of personal reasons, and some of you have read about and must know that I didn't have any money, and I was totally broke after Star Trek, and I had to start again, and work my way back into whatever, and it was a struggle. But because Star Trek gave me a popularity, which we call celebrity, I had this thing called celebrity, which then was useful to get me other things that finally resulted in my being here this afternoon and entertaining you and having a good time with you. So that Star Trek has changed my life completely. Okay?
Thank you. Yeah.
No, come closer. The glare of the light. Come clear. Oh. From way back there. How old are you? You're 27? 23. So you've got 23-year-old eyes. So you'd be able to see that from here, even though the glare of the lights, you'd be able to. I can hardly see you. So I got a couple more minutes. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time. Next question.
Hi. There's actually another text question, and it's from my dad. Yeah.
But it's great. I mean, we're using the latest in science. Somewhere in the dim country, 5,000 miles away, there's a guy typing to his daughter saying, ask him. So we're getting a question from a man that we don't know. Doesn't exist as far as we're concerned. But it's flesh and blood to her. and he's about to ask me a question, and we don't know what he looks like. Ask me the question.
He asks if you have any plans for Danny Crane, the awesome conservative dude on Boston Legal.
I did Boston Legal for 5 years, and it was really one of the better experiences of my life. I worked with great people, James Spader, and James Bergen, and Rene Aubergenois, and even that's the best name I've ever heard. I want to acquire that name. From here on in, I want to be Rene Aubergenois. And Rene will have to go back. He lives on a mountain. He'll have to go back up to the mountain. So I really enjoyed the experience. I won some awards. I got some things. It was great. And I live in the San Fernando Valley, and the studio was way below LAX. So those of you who've been to Los Angeles know that when you go up the 405, first of all, you got to get there. So early in the morning, then you got to get back. If my call was before 5 o'clock in the morning, I could make it all right. If my release when I was out of the studio after 8, 9 o'clock in the evening, I was okay. But if my call happened anywhere in between that, it was a 2-hour commute. So that began to pray 2 hours each way. So that's a 4-hour commute. And I know many of you do the same thing, have long commutes. It is the most trying thing known to man. That locked up traffic is just debilitating. So when the show was over, I was both enormously, I was in grief because it was such a good show, and I loved so many people on it, and the great writers that we had. But there was an element of a sigh of relief, especially when the following year or two, I did a comedy at Warner Brothers, and I could ride a bike to the studio from my house. And unfortunately, that show was canceled after a year, but that's a condition, really, from now on. I'm not going down below LAX ever again. That's one of the things I meant to. Anyway, so doing Boston Legal was great fun, and again, brought me a certain amount of a celebrity. Listen, everybody, I'm so glad you're here. I'm so sad to leave you. I'm supposed to go, but upon request, I'm going to go down and be at my autograph thing, and I'll sign some autographs for a short while. If any of you want to come by, I'd be delighted to sign something. Thank you very much. April 24th, remember that.